What is up, everyone? Welcome to Massive Unboxing number 24. This is going to be a very exciting Massive Unboxing, so I hope you guys are excited for it as well. As you can tell, I've got two boxes, one very large box and then one smaller box. So we'll go ahead and get started with the much smaller box. I'm going to put this one off to the side here. So as you may have seen earlier this week, I did post a video talking about a brand new collection that I was going to start. And this massive unboxing will be more of the continuation of this launching phase for said project. So I got the tripod extended out all the way, so I'll have to work on lowering it down to my standard level here once I get this box open. But this first box comes from Waffle Collectibles. This was from one of the the big collection sale that he was having. There was a retailer that went defunct, so he got all of his stock. I believe, yeah, it was the RM Model Store that went out of business. And if you follow the hobby, you probably know what happened to that store, which is very unfortunate, but obviously, you know, you don't like businesses that don't give people their stuff. But anyway, that's a whole nother, that's a story for another time. So the model in question that I have in here, I believe this was from the from the same retailer blowout, since it was in the collection sale section, but it could be just part of a general collection sale, is wrapped up in newspaper. So the standard waffle packaging, but there is some packing peanuts in here for some extra insurance. Get this unwrapped here. And that, my friends, is going to be an Airbus A321neo. What airline will it be? I'll tell you when I unbox it. So this particular A321neo that I have is actually a Panda model, and they have it in this pretty bland A321neo box. I shouldn't say bland, but it's just kind of unbranded with only the Airbus branding. But the one that's going to be in here is a Cathay Pacific A321neo. Now, I'm just going to say the A321neo is very common in East Asia, so there's going to be a good handful of them in this unboxing. I think I have two others in the large box that I'll be taking care of here once I'm done with this. So let's go ahead and pop this open. I probably should do a box review, but I'm not really worried about that too much. Let's see here. Let's try opening it from this side. That's better. And we should have a bit of a unique cradle. I actually opened it backwards, so whatever. But yeah, Cathay Pacific. This is my first model of this airline, and it's kind of weird that it is going to be a narrow body that this will be the first model of. So I'll need to add like a 777 or an A350, but look at that. Nice. My first Panda A321neo as well, since I have an NG1, the Play example, and then of course I've got a bunch of the JC Gemini renditions as well in the collection. But I do like this A321neo box. You do have the fuselage there, and then just a bunch of Airbus branding all throughout. So it's nothing too substantial, I would say. But overall, this does look super nice. A321neo for Cathay Pacific. So I'm going to be learning a lot of new things about some of these airlines, because I believe, yeah, I think all these will be new airlines to me, minus maybe one, but we'll figure that out as we go here. So there it is, Cathay Pacific A321neo by Panda Models. Again, my first Panda A321neo, and it's pretty similar to the NG, but it's not the same mold. But in terms of quality, they're pretty much on point with each other. Starting off with the front, we have the nose cone. There's the cockpit windows, some panel details. There's the nose landing gear, and the door's got a fleet code on there. And then there's the little logo. I forget what the name of this is called. I've heard the name of it somewhere before for the name of the Cathay Pacific logo. But there's the L1 door, one antenna up top. There's also a little One World sticker. Cathay Pacific title's just above that, and they move into the very lovely engines, which do have like that molded piece on them, I think is what I saw on one of them. Yeah, it's kind of on the underneath, so it's a little hard to see in the view that I'm showing you right now. But there you have the engines. You also see in the winglet they have the logo printed on the inside of them as well. Now, there we go. So there is one little emergency exit above the wings, and then there's another door and another one behind that. Registration is Bravo-Hotel Papa Bravo. So with Hong Kong, they have only 3 digits, I guess, for registrations, whereas with China it's 4. But you do have, there's some little logos up there as well. I think like a flag, and then I believe some text of some sort. Rear boarding door, and then there is the Cathay Pacific tail. Now on the other side, you do have the R1 door, and then there's a luggage door. See, all the detail that Panda captured on this actually looks really good. And then a couple more on the back side there, the tail looking great. This is, of course, the revised livery that Cathay introduced, I don't know how many years ago now, but it's been a while since they've had it, and all aircraft have this livery now. On the underneath, you do have the registration printed on the underside. There is a stand hole, no Panda branding. And then the overwing exit markings on the top side there, looking fantastic. So, as I've mentioned, I've already got a big old box that I'll have to take care of, so I'm going to put this aside and we'll go ahead and unbox the big box.
Aviation Expo is a brand new aviation event taking place from July 8th through 11th, 2026 at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. From model airplanes to aviation tours to plane spotting, you're not going to want to miss the best aviation event of 2026. Check out aviationexpo.org for more information and sign up for news updates today.
And here is the big box. So this comes from Jet Collector, and this is pretty much the whole reason why I'm doing this massive unboxing here. I just kind of had a thought to get a bunch of East Asia models, because I obviously released the video announcing my intentions of starting the new collection, and I wanted to get some models for it right away. So Jet Collector had a pretty good selection of models that I was looking for. As I mentioned in that video, I am primarily going to focus on like Japan and South Korea, but I will expand into other regions within East Asia, so there will be some models from different parts of East Asia that will be in this unboxing. Now somebody opened this box already, so there's already a tear on that side. This actually makes it a little easier for me to rip this open, just like that. And there is an invoice up top, so I'll have to remove that real quick. Come on, get that last part undone for me. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm gonna need the scissors, of course. You get the one side, but we can't get the other right now, so we'll just have to fix that with a little bit of some scissor work. And just like that, we are open. All right, so let's go ahead and take the models out. I've got a whole bunch of packing peanuts, and I'll have to make a mess on the floor to get to some of the models in question. So let's do this first one here. And the first model that I pull out, we have a JC Wings Fuji Dream Airlines Embraer 175. This is the silver livery, and I'll talk more about this airline because they're actually pretty fascinating. And then next underneath, we have Air Busan. This is a South Korean airline, A321neo by NG Models. And then continuing down, number 3, we have Skymark. This is a Japanese airline, Boeing 737-800 by NG. Number 4, this one's going to be really awesome. There's another A321neo. This is for Philippines by NG. And then the 5th and final model, which is sort of buried down here in the bottom, and sort of a compliment to one that I got at Airliners International in Atlanta, but this is the ANA 777-200ER by Phoenix. They have some non-ER variants as well, but this ER one I saw on Jet Collector, so I figured, let's go with that one. Okay, so as you can tell, we got a whole bunch of new airlines. The only one that's not new would be ANA, since I already have that 333 as I mentioned. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to start off with the smallest aircraft, and then we'll just kind of work our way up in terms of size from this point on. So yeah, East Asia is going to bring a whole plethora of new airlines and some new content, and that's why I tried to make that video to introduce it, just because it's such a radical change from what I have collected previously. But here we go. Here's the unboxing of the JC Wings 1:400 scale Fuji Dream Airlines Embraer 175 in the silver livery. So Fuji Dream Airlines, they're a Japanese regional airline, and they operate a bunch of the E-jets, primarily the 175, and they've got a bunch of different colors. So you could see one that's with the silver color. They also have like a blue one, a green one, an orange one. They've got a whole bunch of different colors. So they're essentially like a Japanese Braniff in a way, with the different colors they have on every plane. And I was partially inspired to get this because of Stars 10P, who had that Matsumoto airport update and had one of these Fuji Dream aircraft. I forget which color he has, but I don't think it's the silver one that he has. So with JC Wings, they like to do these orange boxes for whatever reason, and it just has the model information up front. So scale 1 to 400, there's the airline logo, image of the plane, another airline logo, aircraft logo, and the registration. And then on the underneath there is a barcode with an item number, the EW series. So if you see the EW in the item number, that means it is one of the JC Wings orange box releases. They typically do this on a lot of unlicensed stuff. And they open up just like this. Just slide it off, kind of like an Apple box, except it's a lot less satisfying. And yeah, kind of a tiny model for this box. And this is my second JC Wings model that has come in this particular box. The other was the Prime Air 737 I got off of AS Aviation at Airlines International in Dallas. And then there's also a little collector card here, which, ooh, this one feels a lot more firm than the Prime Air. I don't remember the Prime Air feeling this firm. It's like a proper, reminds me of a hotel card in terms of the feel and the weight to it. But there's just some of the same information, but you do have some specifications on the back. I'm gonna go ahead and take the model out. So I wanted to get this color because they didn't have any of the other colors in 400 scale, and they have the shorter winglet ones as well, but I wanted to get the enhanced winglet for now. I'll definitely have to come back around and get more colors, but man, this is nice. The silver appears more green in a way, but it's definitely, like, I can tell it's silver, but it's got like a green hue to it in a way. It's kind of interesting. So, Fuji Dream Airlines, welcome to the collection. And a bunch of, like I said, a bunch of new airlines coming to the collection. It's not gonna stop here, folks. We've got a lot more ground to cover, or air to cover, I guess, with the East Asia collection. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this beauty, and there we go. Fuji Dream Airlines, number 175 by JC Wings. And they've done several colors as well. I forget which colors they've done, but they have done several prior releases. So let's go ahead and take a look. Starting off, we have the nose cone, cockpit windows, and I want to say, no, I don't think that's an Airline Alliance logo, because, yeah, I think they're independent. But there is a nose gear right there. It's like a little letter K up there is what it looks like. Not sure what that is. And then there's an L1 door. You have the big FDA Fuji Dream Airlines titles. We have the engines, which are painted in the same fuselage color. The wing flex is present. You can definitely tell the wings are angled up a bit too high, but honestly, I don't really care that much. There's one little antenna on the back. Rear door and the registration, Juliet Alpha 10 Foxtrot Juliet. And then there's the Fuji Dream tail, which looks very nice. You've got like little stars and a little bit of a yellow hue there, just to give it some color. On the right side, there's some luggage doors and other panel details here. Looking great. And then underneath, with the 175, they always put a lot of detail, at least Gemini Jets does. And yep, the detail is present here on JC Wings releases as well. Registration also printed on the underside of the wings, and there's also a little flag of Japan right there. And then on the top side, you do have the registration printed on the top side of the wing as well, and then some other details included. Very nice little model here from JC Wings, and very proud of their efforts, despite maybe a little bit of wing flex, but it's negligible for me. I can live with it. It's not a big deal. Okay, let's move on to the second model from the Jet Collector order, and that is going to be the NG models 1 to 400 scale Skymark Airlines Boeing 737-800. Now, I know Skymark, they had orders for A380s at one time, which I thought was crazy, but they never took them. But I think one got painted with the tail of the Skymark colors, but ultimately they never took delivery of them. I don't know what exactly happened. I think that one might have gone to ANA, I want to say. I think one of them went to ANA, and it's now one of the Flying Hanu A380s that they do on the Tokyo to Honolulu turn. That's all they do it for. I don't know any other routes they fly the A380. But anyway, the Flying Honu A380, I'd love to pick one of those up as well, so I'll definitely get that down the line. But as with NG, they do really good with the box art. We got Boeing 737-800. There's the star for Skymark, and then you have the Sky titles, and then the airline logo. Registration, Juliet Alpha 73 November Mike. NG logo, 1 to 400 scale collectible models, die-cast metal, and you have the Boeing license disclaimer. On the other side, we have this nice, like, purple-ish color with all the information, and then here's this side with the full Skymark logo. It's the first time I've ever seen that. I've always thought they only just had just the sky and then the star logo, but there is a full word mark for Skymark Airlines. There's the top side, which is all white, and then the left side, which is also the same way. Item number is 58141, and this is a 2022 release, so we should have a card in here. Hopefully, yes we do. We've got a card. Sweet. So I get some more points out of this. It's kind of why I got plenty of NGs, because I want to rack up on points here, because they will have an exchange run sometime. I think at the beginning of December is when they're doing it. But here we are. Welcome to the Fleet Skymark. How is that for a nice looking plane? Yes, sir. Very excited about this. So yeah, again, new airlines, a lot of new territory for me, so I apologize if I say something wrong about them or something like that, but I will learn over time. That's kind of why I'm doing this East Asia collection, is that I'm here to learn. I'm very open to learning, I'm very curious, and yeah, here's a card, of course. This is the June 2022 green variant. But yeah, I'm very open, I'm very curious, and I've learned that if you are curious in this world, typically you're bound to have more success that way, because you're not so closed-minded and all that. But that's my words of wisdom for today. You won't hear any more of that unless it just comes up again in the conversation. So anyway, here it is, the Skymark 737-800 by NG. Looking fantastic as always. It's the NG 737, best on the market, hands down. Starting off, we have the nose cone, pitot tube, cockpit windows. There's a fleet code on the nose gear door, and I think that one's ETOPS certified as well. I believe that's what it says. There's the L1 door, and then the Skymark logo. There's also a red painted antenna down there. Move towards the engines right there, and you've got one antenna above the emergency exits. And then on the winglet, there is like a little, let me see if I can get that into focus here, and that would be wonderful. Oh, there's a heart on the outside of the winglet. That's kind of interesting. And then there's like a little clover, a 3-leaf clover on the inside of the winglet. So if I can show that, that would be fantastic. Come on. This thing is... I have to tilt this up a little further so you can see. Yeah, there you go. So there's the 3-leaf clover. Looking nice. And then the rest of the fuselage is pretty much a Euro white, but you do have the full Skymark Airlines wording. Boeing 737-800, the rear boarding door, and then the registration along with the blue Skymark tail. Looking nice. On the right side, not too much to report on here, but all the basic details are still present. And then there's also another red painted antenna. I don't think I mentioned that second one there in the back. But yeah, looking super nice. Love this thing. And then flip it underneath. There is a little bit of a gray underbelly here, which I didn't know that they had that. And then, oh yeah, registration printed underneath as well, but not on the top side. We do have overwing exit markings and all of the flap slants and speed brake details. Looking great. My first Skymark model, another new airline added to the collection. Welcome aboard. All right, let's move on to the next model, which will be the second of 3 NGs, 3 consecutive NGs, I just realized. So now we have Air Busan, the A321neo by NG Models. This one was released, I think, early 2023, if I remember right. And they also did like an expo, because I think, yeah, Busan's having the expo in 2030, if I remember right. So they had a special expo livery at the time. I don't know if they still have it, but I got the standard livery since my policy for East Asia models will be to get the standards first, only the specials unless I can't find the standard right away. But love this box right here. I love like the teal color they're going with. Airbus A321neo, image of the plane, NG logo, Air Busan logo. Registration is Hotel Lima 8394. 1 to 400 scale collectible models, die cast metal. And I think, yeah, this is my first model from from Korea as well. My first model from South Korea, which is just insane. And it's not even a wide body, just like what the Cathay Pacific example was. So very, very cool. There's the underneath with the A321neo NG logo and all the other stuff. Item number is 13060. There's the right side with the Air Busan logo. And then up there, same information as the bottom, and then on the left side there as well. The back of the box with the Air Busan branding strewn all about. Looks super nice. Gotta say, I love this livery. Didn't know much about Air Busan, but they operate out of the city name itself. I believe it's in the southeastern part of the peninsula. And I hear a card rattling around, and there sure is another one here. We've got the pink one this time. This one is dated January of 23, so yeah, this would have been an early 2023 release. So let's take this thing out. So welcome to the fleet, Air Busan. Do my quality check, which, oh, that's not good. Yep, that's not what I was hoping would happen, but the good news is it just slides back in and the other one is glued in. So a little bit of an oopsie there, but the good news is it is one of those clean breaks. So if it does fall off again, won't be much of an issue there. So keep it on, since it'll be a little easier for me to work with. It's just the nature of the hobby these days. Obviously, if you watched me a long time ago, I would have been upset at that, but nowadays it's just like, whatever. As long as it's not any paint chipping, I don't mind it. But obviously with how the prices have been going for some of these models, it is understandably causing some frustration that, you know, well, if I'm paying for this much, why am I having to put them together? And that I can certainly agree with, and just hope that the prices don't go up further, because we've had a lot of tariffs recently. There's been a lot of discussion about that. But hopefully the prices won't go up any higher, since I have heard that they're being cut down a little bit, which is good. But back to the model itself, the very lovely Air Busan A321neo. Now, the fuselage color, it looked a lot different in the NG photos. It looked a little more like a brown tone, but here it looks more tan to me. It's like a unique off-white in a way. And it does look really nice, though, I will say that. Definitely a very pleasing aircraft to look at. So go ahead and get started. So we start up with the nose cone, cockpit windows. We have the cockpit mask on the A321neo here. There's one antenna, and we have an L1 door, and then the fleet code on the nose gear door. Airbusan.com titles printed below the window line. And there's the engines, overwing exit markings, and they do have some on the wings there too, so the overwing exit doors. And then there's the L3 door with the Kumo Asiana group. Now with Asiana Airlines, they actually removed the little red arrow, since the merger with Korean Air has been officially completed in a way, but I don't know if they're gonna repaint all the aircraft and all that into Korean colors, which would be a bit unfortunate. But you do have the flag of South Korea on the tail, and then the registration just behind the rear door, and also the aircraft type printed up there. And I have the Air Busan colors. Nice blues and greens on this. I do like the color scheme that they went with, the color palette, and all that. So there's the right side with not too much over here, but you do have some panel markings and everything, luggage doors, all that good stuff, looking great. Gotta love this thing. And then underneath, you see more of the green colors coming into play underneath, but you do have the registration printed on the underside and on the top side. Look at that. Overwing exit markings and all of the wing details. Very nice looking model for Air Busan, the A321neo by NG. So now let's hop over from South Korea to the Philippines as we check out this Philippines A321neo by NG. This is more so dedicated to a friend who, he showed me his example right after I placed my big order with Jet Collector, and was definitely looking forward to unboxing this, so very happy that I've got one for myself. I thought about getting the Gemini release, because that was a couple bucks cheaper, but seeing the value with the points that you get from the cards, I think it was worth it to pay I think it was like $2 extra for the NG release, and probably save a little bit as well on shipping by the fact that I ordered 5 models. So here we are. So this livery is dubbed Sunriser. Didn't know it had an official name until about a couple weeks ago when I was doing some research on Philippine Airlines. And this livery debuted all the way back in 1986, so they have not changed it in nearly 40 years, and definitely a classic for sure. So we have Airbus A321neo, image of the plane, and you have the Sunriser logo all throughout. Philippines registration is Romeo Papa-Charlie 9938. NG logo, 1 to 400 scale, collectible models, die-cast metal. And all the details will be the same as on the Air Busan, but just with a different color scheme. So there we go. And a little bit of an error there on the graphic designer, a bit of an overspill on the blue, but nothing major, just more of an observation than anything. This one was, I think, in the March release. I want to say Air Busan came out in January of 23. All right, should be 3 for 3. Yep, 3 for 3 on the cards. Sweet. So I get like, what's that, 20 or 30 points-ish? But it's the same card as the Air Busan example. All right, Philippines. My second Philippine aircraft. So yeah, this is not another new airline I should have mentioned as well because I have the 350. Let's see, stabilizers are good on this one. Very, very nice. Happy to add a narrow-body Philippines aircraft. Hopefully, like GC Wings or Gemini, they'll do a Q400 because Gemini did one many years ago, but it's not the same livery that they have now. So they need to do an updated rendition for the Philippine Q400. All right, box off to the side, and everything is coming apart over there because I have too many boxes and I need more space, but I can't create it because, well, I just don't have that type of magic. I don't think anybody does. Unless you got money to buy shells, but that's a whole other deal. So here she is, the Philippines A321neo by NG. Looking lovely. Very, very nice model from NG, and happy to get this rendition, not only for the better mold, of course, but also for the cards to get some extra points. Starting off at the front, we have the nose cone and the cockpit windows. Now, this particular airframe, Romeo Papa-Charlie 9938, this is the only A321neo right now that has the cockpit mask, based on what I was told. So, kind of unique that NG did this one, and it was a good idea too, since it would differentiate from the Gemini release. I think they did 9930, which obviously that one doesn't have the mask. A321neo titles, and then we have the L1 door, one antenna up at the top, and a little tiny fleet code on the nose gear door. And then there's the Philippines titles, and yeah, just kind of it's a very basic livery, but it's one that has definitely stuck. If they've kept this for 40 years, it's definitely worked. And then there's the overwing exit doors. Then you have the Sunriser colors on the winglet. There's the registration back there. And then you have the Philippines flag back there, and also the tail for Philippine Airlines. Now on this side, you have the A321neo once again, and all the applicable details for the luggage doors and all that fun stuff. Looking nice. Excuse me. That's what happens when you talk too much. And flip it underneath, we've got a bit of a... What color is that? It's kind of like a... I don't know, it's more like a beige or something to me for an underbelly, but you do have the registration on the underside, but not on the top side. But you do have overwing exit markings and all that stuff. There are a total of 3 antennas on the top, and then there's one on the bottom as well. So 4 total antennas, whereas Gemini would have probably only had 2 or 3 to save a couple pennies, which isn't much on its own, but when you add that up across the production run, that is quite a bit. All right, I am running out of space off to the side here, and not to mention I've got that flippin' collector card from the Fuji Dream example. Let's move on to the 5th and final model from this jet collector order, and the 6th and final model overall. It's going to be the Phoenix models, 1 to 400 scale, ANA Boeing 777-200ER. So these typically do a lot of domestic turns within Japan, usually between the major city areas. So they do like Tokyo to, I don't know where else. I don't have any of the city names memorized right now, but they do a plethora of these like very high demand routes, and I believe these are configured with a lot of seats, probably like in the 300 range, I want to say. 250, 300 range, maybe a little higher. But here's the Phoenix box, Boeing 777-200ER. Image of the plane, ANA Inspiration of Japan, registration printed down there, 1 to 400 scale. And it does feel nice that I can review an ANA model without actually being sick, because the last time I unboxed one, I had fallen ill after airliners. I don't know if it was COVID or something or whatever, but whatever it was, I got over it after about a week. But there is the right side with the image of the plane, top side with the light blue, and then on this side as well. Ooh, I love the back here. You got Mount Fuji right there, and you got one of those very lovely buildings. I forget what they call them. They're kind of like temples or something, but they are kind of a distinct part of Japanese culture I've seen, at least in some aspects. So let's open this up. And you also note the registration on the underside of the flap. That's a nice touch. All right. I have to bring my 333 in. It's in, yeah, still in my room because I don't have any more shelf space. So all the models from airliners, mainly the wide bodies anyway, have had to sit in my room and just I have to move them around every time I use a table. But yeah, here we go. Another 777. Welcome to the collection. Very nice. Nice build quality and everything. Nose is a little but doesn't bother me too much. Well, did you look at that? Nice and lovely model from Phoenix. And a good way to cap off this massive unboxing. Feels so nice to build up a pretty good ANA fleet now. Let me grab my 333 off to the side, which if you're in the US, you'd obviously see these a lot more. So I'll just put that off to the side for now, and I'll bring it in for a little side-by-side shot afterward. We'll go ahead and do a review on the very lovely ANA 777-200ER by Phoenix. Starting off, we have the nose cone. There's the Star Alliance logo. Cockpit windows, fleet code on the nose gear door. There's a flag of Japan with the ANA titles behind that. L2 door, then you have some Wi-Fi dome and antenna details up there. Inspiration of Japan titles, and these I believe are Pratt & Whitney engines on this particular bird. And then they move towards the main landing gear there, which do pivot. And then there's a lot of details up top. There's a couple antennas, another little Wi-Fi dome, but there's an L3 door, L4 door, antenna on the bottom there, which is painted red. Registration, Juliet Alpha 717 Alpha. And then there's the ANA tail. And then on the other side, and the fan blades are see-through on this. You can see that there, looking really nice. First time I've seen that on the 222 anyway. On the right side, not too much to report on there, but there are some luggage doors and all that fun stuff as per the status quo. You know the drill at this point. All right. Underneath, no Phoenix branding, but you do have the little red dot for the flag of Japan and then the registration printed on the underside, and both details are present on the top side. And there's also some little orange rectangles, so I'm not sure what that's all about. But yeah, looking super nice. And then there they are right there, the 222 and the 333, which I didn't think I'd get to be put together side by side like that, but there they are. Very, very nice setup for ANA now. So I've got two great wide bodies, and I look forward to building on their domestic fleet if I can find any. I've been trying to get a 738, but I just can't find them right now. And then A321neo, that's another good one that I'd like to add as well. And there it is, everybody. Massive unboxing number 24. A very exciting massive unboxing as I introduce not one, not two, not three, but 4 new airlines to the collection, and a whole lot of excitement as I build up my East Asia fleet. So just go ahead and go through all the models here. We'll start off with the Fuji Dream. Super nice regional jet. Happy to add them to the collection, and I will love to collect all the colors. There's the big boy ANA 222 right beside that. Will be great for some of the larger domestic airports once I get to those down the road. Then you have Skymark, a nice little Japanese airline, the 738 by NG. Air Busan, great South Korean airline, and definitely eager to add more from them as well. There's the Philippines A321neo, super nice model. And then Cathay Pacific back there as well with the A321neo by Panda. My first Panda A321neo in the collection, and a great one at that. And I love the collector card for the Fuji Dream as well. And then of course the three CRP cards that I got for the NGs, which were the Skymark, Air Busan, and the Philippines examples. So definitely look forward to adding those and netting some more points for the exchange run, which will be happening in a few weeks. So that'll do it for this massive unboxing. Super excited to add more, and number 25 is going to be the same way as well, with more East Asia planes, and then I think 26, I'm going to try and get caught up on some new releases. There'll be just more stuff from the US primarily, and then a couple internationals in there as well. That'll be the plan for the massive unboxings as we move through the winter. Super excited to add more models to the collection, and also to get a little anxious about my space situation, but not really. I'm just kind of joking with that. But anyway, with that being said, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.